After a 2-year fight, the PGA and Live Golf are merging, dropping their lawsuit, joining forces. The deal is being met with criticism from many PGA golfers who gave up hundreds of millions of dollars to stay with the PGA, in contrast to several star players who reaped fortunes by signing with the Saudis last year. The families of 9/11 victims are outraged. In a statement, the chairwoman for 9/11 Families United calling it a betrayal by the PGA Tour and its commissioner, Jay Monahan. Joining me now is Ben Rhodes, former Deputy National Security Advisor to President Obama. So, Ben, PGA Tour Commissioner Jay Monahan had previously warned PGA players against signing with the rival circuit. Let's compare his comments from a year ago to what he said just yesterday to CNBC.
I would ask, any player that has left or any player that would ever consider leaving, have you ever had to apologize for being a member of the PGA Tour?
We're announcing to the world that on behalf of this game, we're coming together. And it's less about how people respond today, and it's all about how people respond in 10 years.
So it seems like it was all about the money. First, he was concerned about Saudi Arabia's history. He analogized it to, human rights abuses, 9/11, very clearly. Now, not so much. Donald Trump is posting that this is a huge victory on Truth Social. Great news from Live Golf, a big, beautiful, and glamorous deal for the wonderful world of golf. After he had been kept out of PGA Tour golf at his resorts after January 6th. So, who are the winners here?
The Saudis and money and everybody who bet cynically on the Live Golf Tour, Andrea. And we've seen this movie before. And what we saw, for instance, after the Khashoggi murder, is a lot of people came out and said, I'm not going to do business in Saudi Arabia. I'm not going to travel to events in Saudi Arabia. A lot of posturing and performance from people saying this was a game changer, the dismemberment of an American journalist, a Washington Post journalist. And what happened since is the Saudis have tried to demonstrate that their money can bring them in from the cold. And they've kind of methodically taken people that were their critics and because of the money that they have, turn them into partners. And what's so cynical here is at the beginning of this process, as you said, the PGA used 9/11 in their capacity to take on Live. The emotions of those families, they played on those emotions to draw a contrast. But once the check was big enough, they signed on the dotted line. And that sends a message that all this was about, really, was money. It wasn't about a principled stand. It wasn't about anything other than the fact that the Saudis can write the biggest check.
And, star players like Phil Mickelson were lured with $200 million contracts. And Tiger Woods turned down $750 million to stay with the PGA. And, how do they feel? It seems to me that golf has a lot to answer for. And now the Saudis are also trying to, buy contracts of some of the world's greatest, soccer players, what Europe would call football.
That's right, Andrea. We try to teach our kids to do the right thing, and you'll be rewarded for doing the right thing. And in fact, all the players that said no to all that money, they lost out. And every player that said, sure, I'll take the highest bidder here at the Live Golf Tour, they're the winners here. They were rewarded for going with the people that ultimately report up to Mohammed bin Salman, the man who, based on the U.S. intelligence reporting, ordered that killing of Jamal Khashoggi, among a host of other repressive actions that he's taken. And what we've seen from Mohammed bin Salman is a real desire to use sports to essentially launder his own reputation. Sports washing. And what that is he doesn't want people to look at Saudi Arabia and think about the repressive things that he's done. He wants them to look at Saudi Arabia and think about golf, think about sports, think about leisure, think about things that he's hosting in the kingdom, new cities that he's building. It's all been a methodical effort since that Khashoggi murder to methodically rebuild the reputation of Saudi Arabia by buying into sports and culture and business and elements of U.S. and European society. And at a certain point, we are demonstrating that works. Even, frankly, the President of the United States, who said he'd make Saudi Arabia a pariah in the campaign and then visited there. It sends kind of a message that if you have enough oil and you have enough money, you can buy your way into having a different kind of reputation.
Well, Ben, we just showed pictures of the Secretary of State, Tony Blinken, right today, meeting with the Crown Prince and the other leaders in Saudi Arabia for all of the strategic reasons, of course, that you as a former national security official know well.
Yeah, I think on the geopolitical side, what the Saudis have done quite cleverly is to leverage the fact that there's this now competition between China and Russia and the U.S. and our allies. And they're kind of being a free agent, and they want to be courted by both sides. And I'm sure that the United States is motivated by some fears that you're going to see Saudi Arabia drift into that kind of China column, particularly with the war in Ukraine and with high energy prices, and obviously with the interest in normalization with Israel. What I would hope, though, is that we don't consistently have to check our values at the door. Andrea, I'm pragmatic enough to know that you have to deal with all kinds of people around the world, people with different political systems than ours, but we should be able to stand up for some basic things. And everybody should go back and consider what they said after Jamal Khashoggi was killed and ask themselves, what's different today? Why do those things not hold anymore? And so whether it's the U.S. government, whether it's the PGA Tour, or whether it's anybody that has interest in Saudi Arabia, look, you're going to be dealing there. But I wish that we could at least infuse some more values that we talk about into those relationships.
Ben Rhodes, thank you very much.